Hi everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we will be previewing Roll for Lasers. And this is going to be put out by Glass Shoe Games. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see our videos as they come out.
Alright, so this game, as the name suggests, you are rolling and there are lasers involved, but not literal lasers. That would be too expensive. But as all the players are playing as these security companies who are trying to become the security company for a museum. And so you're all trying to, roll these dice, set up targets that you're trying to look at, mirrors all around the museum, and then ultimately lasers to try to shoot and bounce off those mirrors to try to find all those targets all throughout the museum. The more you hit, the more points you get. Let me show you what it looks like on the table. All right, here's our setup for Roll for Lasers. We've basically got a grid over here, which represents our museum, and we need a place to roll some dice. All right, so on your turn, you're going to roll 6 dice, and you're going to roll them 3 times. The first time you're doing it, you are going to put out some targets on the board that your lasers are going to try to hit. And you're going to do that by combining these dice for coordinates. So we could do something like 1, 3. So then on our axis here, if we're the blue player, we could either choose 1, 3 here or 1, 3 here. Let's just put it right there for now. We could pair up 6 and 6. Put it all the way up here. That leaves 2 and 4. We could put it, let's do it right here. All right, so we're going to do it again. We're going to roll a second time. This time we are adding mirrors to our section of the board. All right, so again, same thing. Let's put out 4 and 4. Let's put a mirror right there. Then we've got 6 and 1. We could do something like that. And then 2 and 5. Let's put it right here. Why not? That's not a super optimum setup, but whatever. I'm just kind of showing you how it goes. All right, so the last time we rolled the dice, we're going to do the same thing. This time we're not looking for pairs. We're looking for 6 individual lasers. So those are going to come in just right from the edge here. So, for instance, this number 1 dice right here. This would start right here. It can go in. It's going to cross over 1 target. So you're going to get 1 point for that particular laser. You're going to choose 3 lasers per turn. For however many of the targets you hit, it can be in your section or in any of the other sections as well. You're going to write down what your score is. So if I did, that 1, I'd put 1 here. Obviously, it's not my real score, but again, whatever. Once per round, you're also going to get the opportunity to re-roll one of those, sets of 6 dice. Let's say I didn't like those lasers where they landed. I could have re-rolled them. When I do that, I fill in that circle showing that I've used my re-roll for that round. All right, so as I was doing my little quadrant over here, everyone else is also filling in their quadrant. So let's say we just have some random stuff filled in, whatever. Just making stuff up. And then what's going to happen at the end of each round is it's going to rotate. So now you are going to be filling in off of this pink square instead of this is yellow. I can do colors. We were blue. Now we're going to be filling in the yellow circle. There's already stuff there. But again, whoever was the red player is now going to be filling in where my blue stuff was. So the board's going to start to fill up really fast. And again, we're going to start rolling again. We're going to fill in more things. We're going to fire lasers. But now there's more targets for there to hit all over this entire board. A laser might bounce up here, bounce off of this, might bounce. It could go anywhere. For all the targets it hits, it's going to get a point for each one it touches. At the end of every round, we're going to score, fill in that little bottom part there with the scoreboard. It's going to rotate, and you're going to do it all again. You're going to do it all again until you've been in every 4 of the quadrants. At the end of all that, you're going to add up all 4 of the round scores for your total score. Whoever has the most points wins the game. As you can probably tell, it gets really wacky, really chaotic as things fill up. It is just a blast. But some of the things that help, they actually have some special abilities. But as you can see right over here in this area, there's some special moves that you can do. There are a whole bunch of them that you can activate. But before the game begins, the table is going to decide which one of those is going to be active for that game. So there's a re-roll, which grants you an additional re-roll, in addition to the one that you get per round. There is a block, so you can actually just kind of fill in a square. And once you've done that, when something hits that, it's just done. The laser stops right there. There's a laser splitter that forces your laser to go into 2 different directions. That can be really lucrative as far as points goes. There's a prime target that counts for triple points. There's additional mirrors. You can even get an extra laser. So there's a ton of different special abilities. But each one is only used once per game per player. So for instance, if we put, a re-roll right here, once you've used that, you're going to put an X there showing that you've used it for that game. There's room for 3 of those special moves. Everybody can use them all once per game. The game plays 2 to 4 players, but I will say that in a 2-player game, what you do is basically just box off that last border there. So you just have a slightly smaller board, so that way you kind of still bump into each other just as much, and you have just as much the same interaction as before.
This game does a pretty decent job about incentivizing players to play well. Since the whole grid is going to come back to you and you're going to be bouncing things off the different quadrants for the entire game, it's not like you're just going to put something to mess with somebody, because it's just messing with yourself. I think that it would be very hard to try and key make it in this game while you're trying to set things up, because really you're focused on you and you doing well and not necessarily demolishing somebody else because you can't.
I like how in this game, as the board fills up, it just gets more and more crazy. There's more and more targets out there, more mirrors to bounce off of, and the special abilities too. A lot of them will get placed on the board itself. So there's just so many different things to bounce off of and hit. And then the board rotates, and you've got everybody else in the previous round had put down now to contend with, and your own previous targets you might be able to bounce back and hit. So as it fills up and as it turns and spins around, it just gets so wild and crazy, and I love it. There's just so much to hit and so much to look at and so much to process. But also it's not too much. It's just a lot, but it's not too much.
And they did a pretty good job of the 2-player version. What they do is they just take that outside grid and they close it in one. So you still get that same chaotic feeling with just a 2-player game. And the last rounds, you just sometimes there was multiple times where we couldn't put anything anywhere because that quadrant was already taken. So they did a pretty good job of making it still just as chaotic in a 2-player.
Yeah, I think this game does have a heavy luck factor. Obviously, you're rolling a ton of dice a ton of different times, but you do get 1 free reroll per game per round. Then you also have some other extra abilities in there that can help mitigate your luck as well. So even though there is a heavy luck factor, there are ways to modify that to your advantage.
And with all luck-based games, the time is what really matters in that, and this fits that time frame really well of not being super long, so that way you're not really frustrated when things aren't working your way, and then doing that for 45 minutes. You're only doing that for how long?
10 minutes?
Yeah. So it's not
really fast.
Yeah, so for a dice rolling game with a lot of luck, it has a perfect time that it stays.
So I really like this game. To me, it just felt like this, almost nostalgic feel. Like there's this laser chess game that my brother and I used to play, your brother and I used to play that was really fun. And this was like a version of that wasn't so stressful. Making a wrong move didn't mean you lost the game. It just means that maybe you lost a point or something like that. And it felt like those car rides too. Like you're in the backseat of a car ride going to far away to see your grandparents, and you're doodling on a pad trying to pass the time or whatever. This felt like this would be a really fun game that you could do in a car as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to use dice on an app instead of the physical dice, because otherwise they might be bouncing all over the car. But it just felt like that to me, that really fun way to spend the time.
I thought it was a nice blend of simplicity and chaoticness. It was, though.
Yeah.
And you just blended those together, and then you have Roll for Lasers. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. And you can also find us in almost all the places. You can find us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can find us on Instagram under Ryan and Bethany. And then lastly, you can find us on Twitter under Ryan and Bethany 1.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye.